Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Doing a status report. I got my dual monitor thing here going on. And I can see all the like trucks. Being the safety manager has its perks. Um, I just wanted to go live. If I don't go live for a couple of days, people worry about me. So I don't want anybody to worry about me. Yes, I'm still at home. Rates, rates, rates are actually coming up a little bit on my short haul stuff, but not to where they were, obviously. But anyways, I figured I'd do a status report, see how everybody's doing, see how everybody's managing. I know a lot of people have. You get on Facebook and you look at all the rate pages. You got rates and lanes, you got rate chasers, you have rate per mile masters. Which again, it's kind of like sifting through the DVD bargain bin at Walmart. You know, go through it and you might find a gem or two when it comes to information. But one of the things I pay attention to is trends. If there's a lot of people complaining about brokers not paying, that's something that you kind of pay attention to. If everybody's fighting rates, you kind of pay attention to that because at the end of the day, these low boards that give you the rate indexes and all that, are they accurate? To a certain degree, they're accurate about trends, but I do know that brokers are showing some pretty good margins for the quarter, for last quarter. So just know that the money is there. You just got to get to it. How do you get to that money? Well, that's dependent on you. So let's do some shout outs. We got Grafton, first one in here. Always in here. I appreciate that. Randy, what's up? He's live. Yes, I am. Rates suck. I'm going on vacation the rest of the year. I wouldn't blame you for doing that, Rat Man, if you're being serious. Although flatbeds averages are doing pretty good. I think you're just going in some strange areas. But yes, they and it's not by choice. Um, I posted a screenshot from one of the apps. It was showing 9 cents a mile on a load. I think it was a typo. I think it was like $200. I think it meant to say 2,000, but it was like 200 miles for like, 1,000 miles or something. It came out to 9 cents a mile. Um, but I have seen some ridiculously posted rates, but they're posted rates. That's the thing. We can get into that if you want. Don, what's up? Good morning. Big Houston, good morning. Mr. Bill, good morning. Sage News Live, hey now. CDN, good morning. Eugene, Snorelord, the myth, the man, the Legion. Good morning. That's funny. Desert Okie Pam, good morning. Paul says, good morning, Steve, from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'll be back on the road in a few, heading south Arizona for 3 deliveries. Fuel is down. I filled up at Commerce City, Colorado at $4.95 a gallon with their discount. There you go. That is something to revel in. People are starting to post some threes in the gasoline, not in the diesel world, but in the gasoline world. So, if we have enough fuel decrease, I think that, as long as the brokers don't go, well, fuel's cheaper now, so I don't have to give you $4 a mile. I think that'll help. Definitely lessen the burden for some people, because right now people are either paying for that extra 20% to fuel is taken away either their home expenses, or it's taken from their although I can't think. I need a sip of coffee. It's taken from their maintenance account. That's what I meant to say. Which, by the way, look at, I'm a cool dad. Know it. Almost choked on my own coffee. There we go. Um, Here's the thing. So one of the advantages of being at Like Trucking is that our drivers are really good about networking. So everybody knows it's a struggle to get out of Denver for dry man. I mean, I think it's a challenge for any platform, to be honest with you. But um, our drivers are pretty good about networking with each other on, hey, like for example, me. Take little old me for example. I'll look on. I look at the Samsara, and every now and then I'm entering rate cons for Jeff, and I could see where everybody's running. I could see the rates everybody's getting, and I took note that one of our drivers gets out of Arizona a lot, and so I'll give him a call. So, okay, I noticed that you're in this area a lot. So how do you get out of the area? And um, I had a driver call me yesterday saying, "Hey, I've also got a way out of Denver." Um, and because of the service that these drivers provide these brokers, this broker's like, hell yeah, bring on more of your guys. Um, I had a broker that was willing to pay for a 500-mile deadhead to get their load done. I mean, that's the kind of relationships I've built because these are niche markets, as CDN has pointed out. Um, the 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 niche markets are multi stops. Now, multi stops are good and bad at the same time. They have, well, I guess a smarter way to say that with it, there's good points and bad points. Good points is that a lot of people don't want to do them. They don't want to put up with them. And so if you're under one of these loads that have multi stops, then you can use that for more leverage for more money because less people are willing to do that. The bad part is you got to make sure that the time is worth it. In other words, if it takes you 2 weeks to do all these stops for a week's worth of revenue, that's no bueno. And then there's potential for more things to go wrong. So I tend to avoid the grocery multi stops. Like it's got to go to 3 or 4. Places like Cisco or Piggly Wiggly or places like that. Because that is a lot of dock time. So it would have to pay extremely good for the amount of time that you would be on it and hope that everything went right. Because if one grocery warehouse keeps you too long and makes you late for the next receiver, and then now you're working every single time you deliver, forget, the tension goes out the window and all that stuff. So just know that there are more risks to multi-stop loads, but once you do a few and you know the customers and you know how it all works and how to get in and out of these places, and if they're open window appointments and you can get there as fast as you can, as legally safe to get there, then that could be a great thing. um, if your authority allows hazmat, that's another niche market that can benefit real well. About a month ago, if you were at Landstar, hopefully you were hauling a lot of fireworks, and hopefully you're getting paid for it. If you weren't, then the negotiation's off. And the best loads are not hitting the board. Trust me. Good news: FCC approved Starlink for trucks in motion. Nice. Cattle hauling. Good morning. CDN, would you agree smaller brokerages are better to negotiate a rate versus large brokers? Yes, because there's less pie, right? So most large brokerages, and correct me if I'm wrong, CDN, most large brokerages they have agents and then phone people, right? And so a lot of the people that you talk to on the phone, like we'll use TQL as an example. How many times have you called on a load and you negotiate a higher rate and they go, well, I got to talk to my broker. I got to talk to the broker. Landstar agents are set up the same way. You have sub agents or an agency that the person's just answering the calls. So if there's a certain profit margin that has to be kept, then that person, in this large brokerage doesn't know you from Adam and will, it's tougher to negotiate with that. And here's a perfect example, right? So one time I called on a load. I was in Bluffton, Indiana. I was looking at a load coming out of Indy, going back to, I forget where it was going. And I knew it was going back to Missouri. And I said, hey, I'm calling your load. The person gives me details, um, gives me the rate. I negotiate a higher rate. And they're like, well, I can't really go up $100. So I'm like, okay, well, if anything changes, let me know. And, we end the conversation. I'm looking. I don't like anything else. So I call that broker back, knowing that I would probably get somebody different because they posted it multiple times with a different ID number. If that should tell you who the broker was. And guess what? That person tells me the same exact info, and I asked for $200 extra, and she gave it to me. So, and I fully expect them to call back, say, hey, we need to match this or whatever, which is what they do a lot of times. But no, I got a better rate just by simply talking to somebody different. So it just, and I'm guessing it was somebody higher up on the chain. So, um, so little things like that. Um, you know, brokers usually have a team, and it just depends on which team member. Whereas a smaller broker, you're dealing with, straight from, literally the only person maybe invoiced with the shipper. So, it just depends. But yes, I would agree, CDN, that and the smaller brokerages, they survive because of dedicated carriers, not dedicated, but like consistent carriers that help them achieve their goals. Where large brokerage might be just interested in a the cheapest truck, regardless of the situation. Anthony, what's up, man? Rick, good morning. Uh, for you or for everybody? I have not seen. Um, my youngest had COVID, about a month ago, 2 months ago. Yeah, 2 months ago, and basically feverish for 2 days, and nobody else got it. And the only reason why we knew that it was a positive test because we took one of those at-home tests. So, hello, Tolga. I knew the answer. Small versus large. The catch-22 is small brokers struggle to get in with large shippers. Large brokers have national account reps to pamper large shippers. No operations duty. Yeah, I mean it's a give and take, and it's part of the dynamics that you just have to get used to, right? And so being able to adapt to each one. Now, smaller brokers, especially if they're new, are there's a little bit more risk on whether you're going to get paid or not. So it just depends. But yeah, I mean they just like a large mega carrier to a small carrier. There are certain leverages that a large carrier has that like Schneider can go into a P&G and negotiate better than we can, right? Because they have people that are willing to do that. So, but Fran, good morning. How are you? Hope all is well in your world. So, but yeah, fuel is coming down a little bit. Um, Rates, it just depends on where you're at. I watched Freight Waves yesterday, and the Atlanta market is still the best market they're saying in the country. You should be able to get paid going into Atlanta and be able to pay coming out. So just know that, which again is strange. If you've been in the spot market a minute, you know that Atlanta was a big risk coming out. Mask and other mandates are canceled a few months ago around here. Other than that, case numbers kept rising up. Let's see, as with anything, you need a blend of connections for loads. Yes, absolutely. And that's the I mean, the reality that's the gist of it. I mean, you're a salesperson, right? You got to sell your services. I'll give you another example. So I booked my truck on a load, and I started an email chain, because look, the broker sends me the rate con. It was a 12 email conversation before I even got the rate con. And then, so once I got the rate con, I started a new conversation with the PO number or the load number, in the subject line. I put it confirmation number, or load number check calls. And then I emailed the broker the link to the truck where they could see where their location is, because they didn't have an app. They didn't put you on any of the tracking apps, and they were super impressed with that. So the next time I go to book a load with them, I will remind that person, hey, by the way, I notice you don't have tracking apps. I can give you a tracking location, and so you'll know exactly where and when that truck is at all times, anytime you want to check on it. And they love it. It's helped me get some more money. What kind of commodities are outbound from Atlanta? Well, I did not see. Freight Waves just mentioned it was the van market, but right now, let's do this here real quick. Let's go to DAT, log in. I don't know why it's not working. You ever notice that the DAT board goes down when um, on when you get billed? You ever notice that? Wonder. Unbelievable. See if I can find some here. No. I just have the two windows open. It is not clicking. This page is slowing down Firefox. Speed up your browser. Stop this page. Stop. Unbelievable. There it goes. All right. Let's go to Georgia. Georgia right now, dry van. This is dry van, people. Alphabetical, Steve. There it is. There's 1,455 loads going into Georgia and 2,387 coming out. So let's do this. Let's do load search. Let's do Atlanta. Atlanta guy. Let's do a 50-mile radius. 50-mile radius for Oh, what's today? The 7th? Today and tomorrow. Search. There's literally 1,648 loads within a 50-mile radius of Atlanta. How about them apples? If you're sitting there in Atlanta looking for a load in dry van, you need to be negotiating a rate. So let's do the highest rate. $6,700 go to Oregon, and that's above the 30-day. So that's a good trend that you want to pay attention to. One pick, three drops. That's why. Again, multiple stops, people. Let's see. Let's look at this one. Buford, Georgia, 6,500. 30 day on that's 72. Ask for 75. So yeah, there's plenty of good stuff. 4,300 to go to California. It's actually not bad, although that broker's got 1.5 stars. 79.50 on the pounds. There you go. I would ask for 47. And then I would turn around and tell them I just got 6,000 to go to California, because I did. I got 6,200 actually. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on. What is interesting is if I'm quoting a Canadian load, I can call 3 separate carriers. Each will provide a similar rate, not based low board data. However, Canadian carriers know the rates. Good morning, everybody. Have a great day. Toby, good morning. Starting to appreciate the fact I canceled that. Cool Trucking, good morning. How much money is that low board a month? I think I'm paying like 70 a month, somewhere around there. And I've got the 30-day average, so I've got a few tools. I don't have the bare bones minimum anymore, but I also have the 123 low board. Pale Rider TV, good to see you, my friend. Good to hear there's still some heat in the market. There is. It's just you got to be in the right spots. Hot market maps are, I think, the most telling of a situation, right? Like, for example, Alabama, 637 in going in and 605 coming out. So that's a huge slowdown for Alabama. But it's equal numbers, so you can be pretty confident that you're going to get a decent rate going in and out. Florida, 2,246 loads going in and 788 coming out. So guess what? You ain't getting paid coming out of Florida, but you should get paid going in. I'm going to highlight my friend's deal there. California. Let's look at California. 2588 going in, 2719 coming out. I have yet to see a change in the dynamics in California because of the AB5 law that everybody's arguing about. But I'm pretty sure when those dynamics change, the fireworks will go. Kansas, 326 in, 431 out, so that's pretty good. Indiana's finally in the right direction. Illinois is finally in the right direction when it comes to load ratios. Missouri is a good location. carriers. Let's see. South Carolina, 489 going in and 1377 out. Texas, 3,038 going in and 3464 coming out. So you should still be getting paid well going in and out of Texas. For a while, it was tough to get the money going in. So just knowing your lanes, knowing the load ratios, having the tools at your disposal. How's the West Coast looking? West Coast is actually not too bad. Southwest. Like when I look at the hot market map, the hottest place in California is Southern California to mid California, but it's showing blue, it's showing cold as you get up into Oregon, Northern California, Oregon, and Washington. I wonder if I can share the screen here. I have not shared a screen with the dual screen yet. Let's see if I can do it. Let's see if this will work. Oh, there we go. Screen 2. There we go. So that's the hot market map for last week up to July 4th for dry van. The red is good, the blue is bad. Yellow is okay. Lighter shades of blue, green, and red are decent. But the blue is bad. As you guys can see, Michigan, Chicagoland, and that everything is good. So yeah. So there's that. I like having dual screens for this. This is pretty cool. So yeah. Oh, Steve, maybe one day you could play Price is Right on your live. Have 3 driving carriers on. Chat puts a lane. Each carrier can only run miles and look up fuel. Then all 3 show their rates. I don't know about that. That sounds involved. Getting 3 people to agree to come on is at the same time is difficult. Pigtail, good morning. It would have to be lane someone was recently paid, right? The trouble with that is like, the hot market maps, or the posted rates. Sorry, the posted rates. There's a lot to those. There's posted rates. I see it all the time on Facebook. People like, hey, I'm looking for a new low board because the rates on this low board aren't any good. I can't believe these brokers are paying these cheap rates on this low board. Not realizing that low board has nothing to do with your rates as far as like what you're being paid. Like 1, 2, 3 low board. Its lane averages tend to be lower than the DAT averages, but they're still just averages. And brokers will take advantage of that. Some brokers will actually turn off the ability to see the 15-day rate. I know that. They'll pay extra. They'll pay DAT extra to do that. And then, if they post a 1, 2, 3 and they're above average, it's easier to be above average. Whereas, so it just depends on how you utilize toolbox. But however, I've done literally 5 years of spot market. And the best indicator of rates is these load ratios, in and out ratios. And so when Freight Waves yesterday on Sonar said Sonar was saying that Atlanta was the best to go in and out of. I was like, yeah, I see that. I didn't need their thousands of dollars data to see that, yeah, Atlanta's a good spot. Because, you know, when I put in a 50-mile radius of Atlanta, there's 1,600 loads coming out within a 50-mile radius for today and tomorrow. Which is why my dedicated broker that has freight out of Georgia will call me and say, I need help because I don't want to post this on the load board. And usually I can oblige. Do you use your TMS to look up recent rate to help negotiate a rate? No. We've got two TMSs I'm tapped into, Ascend and Axis. Ascend just uses their data off of the DAT. So let's do that. Let's go to Ascend. Well, I take that back. I do use that to a certain degree. Like right now, and it's from a broker standpoint. So it's funny when rates come down, it shows green, and when average rates go up, it shows red. Like that's a bad thing. Like we don't want the rates to go up. So national van rates are 265. National reefer rates are up a penny a mile, 304. Then flatbed rates, Ratman, are you still watching? Flatbed rates have dropped 12 cents on the average. That's a huge drop. Probably because a lot of people are switching over to flatbed. And then fuel, for some reason, is still showing up. But this is from last week. So let's see. Click on that. There you go. So let me share this screen. There's your truck types, right? As you can see, downward trend, upward trend to downward trend, and then down, and then a little uptick. Now, look at what this says right here. California produce volumes at the lowest level in 20 years. That should be big news, but it's not. Why is nobody talking about that? I mean, Erica's talked about it, but the news ain't talking about that, are they? They're not even mentioning the farmer issue in the Netherlands there, which is a big deal because cops are shooting at these farmers that are protesting. So this is what I look at. So there's your fuel prices, and then it shows the increase, decrease. And we can do this for 1, 2, 3. So let me do this. Let me set it up so all my info is not out there. So let's do 1, 2, 3. There we go. Let's do a load availability, density map, and then now we'll share the screen. Share screen. There you go. There's a 1, 2, 3. That's for van. No, wait, that's for all. So California, 1831 going in, 2019 out. Let's look at Georgia, 2631 going in, 2723 coming out. Missouri. Now, in this map, red is bad, whereas DAT red is good. Look at Kansas. It's showing Kansas is bad. 575 in, 487 out, 29 intrastate, which we don't have Kansas intrastate, so that kind of sucks to do that. Which there's really not much to do. Usually, you're doing Topeka to Wichita, or Wichita to Kansas City, something like that. But you gotta remember that volume's a lot lower on 123 because it's not as popular. I mean, DAT is the national standard, but these maps are still helpful. So, anyways, let's see. In our TMS, I can look up 5-year history to see if agent booked similar load. I can't see customer if not my load, but I can see how much carrier was paid in carrier. I call these carriers first. That's a good strategy. Drought, yes, there was a drought, and the lack of fertilizer. So they're either paying double for fertilizer, or they're just not using it, so there's less yield going on. Those farmers use tractors to drive through police lines. They got shot at for a reason, almost drove over a policeman. Yep, I understand. I grew up in California, and amazed. The whole purpose of that comment that I made was that that's how that's how high emotions are right there, over there. I grew up in California. Amazes me how much farmland is just dirt today, along with Central Valley. Florida's like that too. Florida, a lot of the orange groves don't exist anymore that you used to see. Utah trucker, what's up? With your fancy 2 screens, now you can show that and compare a DAT reefer rate. Let's see if I can copy and paste that comment. Would you mind sending me that link on the email there, CDN? If you email me that link, I'll put it up here. All right, so let's share screen again. This is the USDA Specialty Crops National Truck Rate Report, fruit and vegetable truck rate report for Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. And it tells you which markets have shortages, slight shortage, adequate, slight surplus, and big surplus. Let's go Mexico. Mexican produce is doing well. Columbia Basin through South Texas. Oh, wait, no, that's Mexico crossings through South Texas. So basically, Mexico's produce is still doing okay. The shortage is in Florida, Georgia, New York. Wait, no, not New York. Southeast Missouri. So our watermelons aren't doing as good. That's what you get out of Southeast Missouri is watermelon, rice, tobacco. I don't know if that's considered produce. Soybeans. Mexico. Oh, Eastern North Carolina. Man, I can't read. I don't have my glasses on, so I'm dumb. So the Southeast is not doing well with the produce. California is just showing adequate. Louisiana's good. Mississippi's good. Um, but it's just adequate. I imagine this is probably more on the yellows and blues. Spoobie, what's up? USDA report does help with dry van rates. If reefer in high demand, the less reefers will be trying to haul dry van. Yes, that happens in the wintertime during freeze protect. All the Coke and Pepsi and water loads now are suddenly not on the low board, right? Keep scrolling. You will see some lane rates. Oh, okay. All right, so let's go back to sharing. All right. Where's the rate? How far down? Which page? I'm not sure what I'm looking at here. I'm dumb. So yeah, that's the crops truck rate report. The range on the right is the suggested rate. Suggested rate. The mostly. And then the range. So those are those. So what's that? 66 to 6,800. What is that? Do you want to come on here and explain it, CDN? We got a noisy cat in. If you want to come in and explain it, I'll send you the link. But if you're busy, I understand because you probably have a real job and I don't. Let's see. I've got 2 trucks I'm dispatching now, fixing to get 2 more. But the 2 trucks that I'm on now, they're on long haul. And I'm not sure they're going to be empty Friday. So we're kind of playing wait and see. There's the cat meowing for no reason. Read each column and it will make sense. Let's see. Mexico crossing stream to Dallas, Arizona. Atlanta surplus. Range 64 to 7,200. Mostly 66 to 68. Down 1. How much you pay your driver? Um, it, it I'm a, it's on the dispatch, right? So I don't pay them. their carriers pay them. Now, if you want to come to be a contractor for like trucking, we're at 80%. Salutations to the meow. So when I talk about my drivers, it's the drivers I'm dispatching. Then if I say our drivers, that means like trucking, which right now I'm dispatching a like trucking truck and I'm dispatching an outside carrier. So but anyways, I'm gonna be done with this thing because I'm not reading it properly. So we'll stop sharing. Anyways, there's a lot of information out there to know your craft, right? To know your craft. Yes, cat, you just came in. Yeah, now you're gonna go back out, right? There you go. Hey, come on. Give me a while, let him in. So, no, if you want to be dispatched, it's another 5% if you come over to like trucking. But it's not for it's for each load. So if you find some of your own loads, which a lot of people eventually do, then you get your full 80%. So it just depends on whether you think it's worth it. Some people, and let me talk about that for example for a second. There's this like there's a purpose to dispatch if you're in the spot market. If you're good at self-dispatching, then yes, you don't need a person like me. Unless you're driving or you're on vacation and you need someone else to be an extra set of eyes on the load board, which is what I become. Which is handy if you're doing long miles and because you shouldn't be looking at the load board while going down the road. I know a lot of people do. It's hard not to. However, where I come in is my value is number one, I'm making the 20 phone calls for you. If I can't go through my contacts, I have a list of contacts that I go through before I even look at a load board. And I can also help consult and develop strategies. And what I'm finding is the people that don't like having dispatch is because they're either picky or they don't have the same outlook I do. In other words, if I book a load that's 1,000 miles for 2 days, but you only want to drive, 200 or 300 miles a day, that load I just booked, you're probably going to tick you off. Now, I have a conversation with you and say, hey, what parameters do you want me to set? Don't no northeast, no southwest, no grocery warehouses. I get that because I'm the same way when I dispatch myself. I get it. And so if there's a load in question, I'll bring it by you first. But a lot of times what I'm seeing in my experience, and Jeff can attest to this, is what I'm seeing is right now your normal running lanes, a person's normal running lanes have changed. And sometimes you got to go outside of your normal ranges. Your home time is going to be sacrificed. There's a different persistence that you have to have right now to make it. You got to do the stuff that's beyond your comfort zone. And I've been guilty of not wanting to get beyond my comfort zone. Um, and that's where I can come in and say, hey, let's develop a strategy that works for you. And with that strategy, I create consistency. With that consistency, you can get consistent rates. And every now and then I'll score a home run, and you're making more, right? So it's our value is, at Rig Runners, is to, a management kind of a deal. Like, if you just want to be the guy that just wants to drive and not worry, if you're anytime, anywhere, my job is just to keep you moving at a profitable rate. And I can do that. If you have all these parameters set, I can accomplish that. However, it's a lot more work. And whether, but I'm using common sense because I know how to run a truck. I know I've been criticized on the YouTubes from other people, but I do know how to run a truck. I do know how to run a business. And I do know what good lanes. You know why? Because I've been in the spot market for 5 years. I have experience doing carrier packets. I have experience with and histories with brokers. There was 1 week where I didn't even have to look at the load board. I had 3 brokers call me with their freight, and I could accommodate every single one of them. And then a lot of times I've got a broker that will actually like help me with my lanes. In other words, I'll say, hey, I need to get a driver to Arizona. How can we accomplish that? And then, like, well, there's nothing going directly to Arizona where you're at, but if we do this and then this, and then I'll look and say, well, if I can get this, can you do this? That kind of thing. A second set of eyes for me going forward, and plus all the emails I get every morning. So that's it's important for me for you to be profitable, because that's how I get paid. No problem. John, good morning. Truck for Life, good morning. Almost got that truck paid off. John, we still got a couple of trailers. XYZ VS for less money. Tyrannus, what's up? I believe if your focus is generating income, then a great dispatcher such as Steve will keep your truck rolling. If you're an owner-operator, want to learn the market operation, then self-dispatch is best. But I can also teach you the market. That happened with my first flatbed guy. We had a few stumbles. Most of the time, if I couldn't generate revenue, it's because of his truck or his scheduling. Of course, he was new to OTR. He was new to flatbedding. He was new to the customers. So I had to have some patience and understanding, and we dealt through it. And then eventually he learned how I was running him and didn't need me anymore, which is fine. It allows me to focus on the drivers whose trucks are working. So what I'm finding in both dispatch and on the carrier side is drivers are their own worst enemies at times. If you are afraid, I don't want to berate anybody, because that's not right. That's not right to berate anybody. But I've noticed that most people hold themselves back. That's just in general. That's just a generalization of people all over, regardless, right? So there's there's something to that. And I try to make it up. I try to build established lanes to where it's low maintenance for you. Create a foundation. You can't create a foundation. You can't, if you're digging a well, you can't just drill for 20 feet. Sucks. Drill another 20 feet somewhere else, and you just keep drilling here and there, and you never find water. With me, I'll find something that works, and I will stay in it, and we make that happen. Next thing you know, you got your triangle, and then you're in good to go. So it's when, when I've got one person get ready to sign on that is going to go outside of the triangle. They need some guidance. Miss Charles, good morning. Fake Trucking, good morning. Almost done. Good deal. Power only I'm running for keeps me rolling well. It's giving me a much needed break from spot market, although I feel I might be losing experience. No, just keep on keeping on. I mean, eventually you'll figure it out. I mean, part of the reason why it's a little bit easier for me to figure out low boards is because I live in a great freight area. And even as a company driver, I ran the same areas. I ran the same places. So, but I also have the mindset to learn, okay, how do I utilize Oregon, Washington, and California? And so if a driver came up to me and said, I want to utilize those three markets, then I know how to look at a low board and utilize those markets. Now, for me, profit margin goes down a little bit because of cost of fuel, because of the mountains, and load availability. If you remember the DAT screen, it was showing, cold, once you get north of Sacramento. Dumb question. How do you teach a market that is changing just about every day? What I thought I learned in 19 months means nothing today. I guess I know the highs and lows of the lanes I run. It's not really teaching the market. It's teaching how to adapt to the market. In other words, this screen right here, people. Let's share the screen here. These numbers right here, those are the most important numbers. And you have markets that have been normalized. In other words, normal markets like Illinois, Ohio, Indiana, usually are good in and out. Here lately, well, other than up until last month, Indiana was tough to come out of. And so you look at the markets, what has consistency? This graph right here gives you this consistency. This map has your consistency. All these states that are green, West Virginia is always red on the 1, 2, 3 low board, always red. So do I take loads to go to West Virginia? Only, I used to go to Glendale all the time, only if, right there in that spot where my mouse is, so I can go back to Ohio, like New Concord or even Columbus, right? Wisconsin's always good. Minnesota, it depends. Iowa, it depends on the time of year. But still, yellow's still not bad on this map. And so when you go to the DAT and you go to dashboard, this is your drive-in market. Boom. Notice how they're all similar to what the 1, 2, 3 is showing, right? If we go to, this is flatbed. Look at that. I've been saying for the last 6 months that southeast, man, that's where it's at. Southeast especially. Even even fairly down to Florida. And then reefer. Let's look at reefer. Now, granted, this is last week. Reefer's kind of all over the place. So how do you adapt to that market? So that's the things that, like, you know, it's teaching a way of dealing with markets and having the advantage of dealing with brokers that know the bad markets. My owner operators don't understand the value you bring compared to most carriers. Fully agree. You know, my dispatcher and him and I had, you know, my dispatcher and him and I had this conversation yesterday. Thanks for sharing this knowledge. It's truly helpful. At least I know my dispatcher's doing his job. Well, yeah. See, I'm not driving, so so I can look at this stuff, you know. And not only that, but the days that Jeff is having me put in the rate cons and axis, I'm seeing what the other drivers are booking. I'm seeing how they're dealing with their own markets. I can't show you that screen, but I could show you, you know, right now we've got several trucks that are off duty. We got one guy running from Denver to Arizona with some stops in New Mexico. We got another driver in Texas with multiple stops that end in Kansas. Everybody else is pretty much Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, and we've got 3 that utilize Northeast. They know the area, so they're not afraid of it. In the Northeast, that's a whole different animal. You know, I tend to avoid the Northeast except for maybe Western PA, because then you just deadhead at Ohio once you get out. And then you got the tolls and the fuel issue there as well. So your profit margin goes down. So it's got to pay stupid good to go up to Northeast. Or let's say you live in Newark, New Jersey. Well, then you kind of have to learn how to utilize it. That's the thing. How do you utilize a bad market if you have no choice? I am blessed with a good market here in Missouri. And so what I find myself doing, like for example, one driver who's usually in the live chats, I was putting him through Missouri and Arkansas all the time because I knew this market. And I knew that he wanted consistency. I knew he wanted to run the way that I did when I was running full time. And that's what I did for him because it created a foundation for me. But outside situations kept him at bay from creating that foundation. So, I mean, but like we got a couple of guys that live and run the Southeast. We got one guy that literally goes to Florida and back, Florida to Georgia and back. That's it. That's all he does. Georgia to Florida, Georgia to Florida, Georgia to Florida. And he's Jeff's top moneymaker. But if suddenly he finds himself in, I don't know, Dallas, Texas, he might give me a call and say, hey, Steve, this kind of sucks. How do I do this? And I'll tell him. I get a percentage for that. No matter your struggles today, keep in mind Jeff Bezos is having yacht troubles perspective. Got in here a little late. Good morning, Bob. What's up, man? So it's and here's the thing, it's the willingness to know your markets. And if you don't have the willingness to know your markets, but you want to be in the spot market and utilize the advantages that it might have at times, then that's where I come in, right? And again, I'm the guy that's making 20 phone calls. I'm the guy that's handling Raycon, so you can just drive, right? And because of the way I ran when I ran my truck full time, um, I utilized the same strategies. I wasn't on the low boards all the time. I wasn't, I called my people first. I checked my emails first. I'd be at the truck stop, and since I do the shorter runs, I have a lot more downtime to look for loads when I had to. And then Jeff handles the raycons. So I get my own raycon, sign it, but Jeff's the one that handles it into the TMS system. So I don't have to worry about all that. I don't have to worry about the carrier packets. So there's just there's an advantage to us, and someday soon I will put the numbers on the glass of what the driver's wanting to. I know one driver that wants to come on, and we'll put the numbers on the glass. This is a person that tracks his numbers, and he sees the value that I bring. And so, some people see the value in it, and some people don't. Would I use a dispatch service? It would depend. Would I use me? Absolutely. But at the same time, I've been self-dispatching for the entire time I've been an operator, Landstar, Schneider, and here. So it comes naturally to me. So I'm giving you 8 years of self-dispatch experience. I've been doing it since 2014. So as far as self-dispatch, so that's where I come in. So it comes naturally to me now. Did I and I've made my hiccups, and don't get me wrong, I've made mistakes, but I know how to recover from those mistakes. And I know that if you have a driver that's not willing to put in the work at times and be as efficient with their clock as possible, that affects things. If a driver has a lot of truck trouble, that affects things. So, and then I do know that sometimes I have to help a person recover from going into a bad area. Hey, and that's, but I do what I can. But I also know the concept to keep moving as well. Whether it's going to an area of better rates, take a hit for a second to get to the better rates, or I know not to take a hit all the way around. So and it's tougher. Fuel is higher, rates are lower, but you know what? I got one truck, 6,200 to go to California from Wisconsin. Everybody else is paying $4,000, 4,300. Now, was it multi-stop? Yeah, but you know what? That's where this whole video began, was the niche markets. But I still had to negotiate a higher rate than what they had posted. So, and because of the carrier's exquisite, excellent history with these loads, they had no problem coming up with the money, and that's where the money is. I run the East all the time, learn to skip tolls, where to buy fuel. I think the East Coast area is a strong market that a lot of people don't want to go to. And again, it goes back to doing the things that no one else wants to do. Look, we have a driver, I think, that lives close to New York City. They'll eat that stuff up all day long. We got a driver that utilizes Atlanta all the time because they know the market. They know the area. They know the terrain. I'm blessed. The states that I know the most of, okay, by personal experience, is Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, of course, a little bit of Kentucky, a little bit of Michigan, a little bit of Wisconsin, the Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, not as much in the past, some Florida, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, uh, Jersey. I've been to Maine a few times. Like I said, I've been to all the states except for Nevada. Nevada is the only state I have not been in ever. In Alaska. That's it. Been to California once as a truck driver. And so, you know, but I know I have the ability to look at a low board and utilize California if needed. And I do know that there's going to be some dynamics that will be changed because of the AB5 law. That is where I'm struggling. I don't have any experience with LTL other than a couple of multi-stop loads. The main experience that I had with LTL Sterling is fireworks. We would pull fireworks out of Springfield, and like one time I did like 5 stops in Montana. That was an awesome trip. That's on my other channel, by the way. Some of those stops on the other YouTube channel, Snorelord OG. And I would do multiple Bass Pro runs, like multiple stops there. But as far as like booking LTL, that's a tricky game. It's easier to do on flatbed and step deck because you can just pull it whenever. So, but as far as piecing it together, I can do it if needed, but it's definitely a lot of work to it. And there are LTL companies that got that in the bag. This is the beauty of trucking. No one right way to do it. Yep. Low board. I don't know about that. That's funny. But don't take the PA turnpike. Well, it depends. Freight trucking. The way I look at the PA turnpike is if I'm light. So here's how you handle the PA turnpike, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. So you look at the mileage. Let's say you're doing a load to Mechanicsburg, okay? Which I've been to Mechanicsburg 100 times. So if you're heavy from New Stanton, when you get on to Mechanicsburg, you're looking at probably about $200. So if you're light, you can go all the way to Reading and be like at $85. Like that, I think that was my last toll bill when I went up there. Now I know toll rates have increased. I don't know how much the increase is. I know it's substantial. So these are just numbers that are outdated, but they're numbers nonetheless. So what I did was I did the math on if I went out of route to avoid the tolls. Number one, you're looking at time. Number two, you're looking at how many out of route miles are there, and then you do the fuel cost of that. So if it's 50 miles out of route, then you do the math. 50 divided by 6 miles to the gallon times whatever the price of gallon of diesel is in Pennsylvania. Is that number larger than the toll number? Now, if I'm on a time crunch, then I have no choice, right? Because usually the toll roads are going to be quicker. So it just depends on the situation. That's how I look at that. Is it worth it to go around the tolls? And Schneider, my contract with Schneider is they paid all tolls except for Ohio and Indiana. And we asked them why, and they said, well, because the different ways you can go are easy. Those tolls are easy to avoid. 80/90 is easy to avoid in Ohio. So that's why they felt they didn't have to pay for that. But Pennsylvania will pay for those. Now, if you're a new contractor at Schneider, you weren't getting that. But that was one of the benefits of why I went from Landstar to Schneider, because Schneider paid all but 2 toll roads for the most part. I've used LTL on step deck, but my lazy trips me up and lose profit. You have been driving for over 10 years, never had to go to Nevada, shows low demand state, right? Now, when I was a company driver, we did have drivers that went out to Reno, but my deal with Nevada when it comes to self-dispatch is there were good paying loads going to Salt Lake, but not Salt Lake, Las Vegas or Sparks, but it was tough coming out. And so my circle of friends that we were all self-dispatching and and living high on the hog in the spot market, a couple of them would go out to Sparks, and then they would be cursing as they were trying to get out. So I just avoided that headache altogether. But as a company driver, it was just a matter of luck. They had some guys that went out there that was the run that they wanted. So, and they were there longer than me, so they got higher props. Just like California, we went to Ontario all the time, and I only went once because they gave that to the other drivers that begged for it. That is true. Yeah, and that's the thing. So your surrounding markets can create soft markets. Like, for example, Phoenix, Vegas. Um, you know, that's why South Georgia can be soft because everybody's deadheading up from Florida. So like Forestell, Valdosta, not Forestell, Valdosta, Tifton can be kind of soft to come out. Steve, doing LTL can be great as you can off no transfer. Yes, difficult to piece together freight. Key is driver has to be willing to move pallets and be creative to fit different size pallets. When you want, I can peel the curtain back on running LTL as a private carrier. I have a lot of experience. Email or text me. That's the great thing about CDN, man. He is always willing to help. Always. So, anyways, guys, we've been at this for over an hour. So status report is, keep on keeping on. Fuel is going to come down. It's starting to come down. Discounts are starting to increase a little bit. And if you're running reefer, your produce levels are low. If you're running flatbed, your rates are dropping a little bit because you have a lot of trucks that have switched from van to flatbed. But the carriers that know what they're doing are the ones that are going to shine in the flatbed world. So if you're hauling, pallets, bricks, shingles, crane mats, you're not getting paid as well as the guys that are doing boats, tractors, forklifts, things of that nature. So again, niche markets, right? If you have to utilize a bad area, then figure it out. I can help you figure it out. You can email me. Link is in the description. If you're looking for a carrier that pays 80%, and you don't get nickel and dined with fees, we have several trailers available. We have two. I know of two at least because they're in my town. And we also pay after every load. So you deliver on Monday, you get settlement on Tuesday, it's in your bank by Wednesday for every single load. So you can stay home for 2 weeks, run that big money load to a bad area, get your $6,000, get your 80% of that, get your settlement the day after. So boom, now your bank account's caught back up from taking all that time off. So I believe that's it. The saving grace of Northern Nevada is downhill to Sacramento region and you can get 10 miles per gallon empty. There you go. There's always a silver lining somewhere, right? So, guys, thanks for watching. Hit the like, hit the thumbs up, subscribe. I've lost a few subscribers, and I'm very sad about it. Very, very sad. Because my ego needs to be fed with how many numbers are in my live chats and my my YouTube subscription. So, anyways, guys, that's a joke. Don't take me so seriously. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I will leave you with this. Strength for today, hope for tomorrow. There you go. Peace.